The women's retreat started on Friday night. Some of us left early. Others had to leave after work, and they got caught up in this nightmare of Highway 80 being shut down for hours. But I told someone that evening that I felt like God was going to do something because of the opposition that was happening.
We were at Wake Island having a great time, and I just stepped funny and immediately knew that hurt, that was bad. I waited 11 days to finally go get an x-ray, and when that x-ray showed that my foot was not broken, my doctor referred me to a podiatrist. The one that was referred to me gave me some really bad information and caused further injury to my foot. So 3 months of that, and I went to see a different podiatrist who got me in for surgery and did a complete reconstructive surgery of my foot, which ended up not working.
She came out of the surgery and she was immediately in really excruciating pain. I think by that time she was pretty much done, emotionally done, drained from the pain. You know, she was struggling through every day almost, struggling to be optimistic and positive and happy. It seemed to make her feel hopeless. A lot of sadness like pouring out of her. It was like having like half your life.
I ended up seeing another doctor and had another surgery.
She ends up having the surgery to fuse the toe, comes out of the surgery still in pretty significant pain, and stayed that way.
So I was pretty discouraged. I was trying really hard to stay positive, focus my eyes on Christ, know that this was part of my story and that He was going to use it for His glory somehow. But I was not in a good mood. It took some serious muscle work on my husband's part to push me through that big slump I was in to get me to eventually commit to going to the women's retreat. There ended up being a standoff on the freeway, and my hour and 40-minute journey turned out to be over 5 hours before I actually arrived in San Rafael.
It's a little noisy, a little crowded, but Michelle and I had ended up in the same group with JC. When I saw JC, I saw that surgical boot on her foot, and that always sparks me when I see a boot, a crutch, a cane, a sling, and I always think, oh, that could be a miracle that brings God glory.
There was an extra prayer call that said, if you need any extra prayers, raise your hand. I raised my hand. The woman who was sitting right in front of me the entire time whips around. She looks me up and down and she says, let's heal your foot. And she started praying over me in tongues, and I just started bawling. And I have no idea even what she was saying. And when she was done, she said, I need a healer. Where is Kathy? And she turned around and there was Kathy.
JC was in the middle of us, and Kathy just said, we want to pray for you. And she prayed the most simple, calm, peaceful prayer, but it was full of truth and authority.
So what we did was we anointed her with oil. We prayed to the Father and asked for healing of her foot. And then we spoke to her foot to be healed. And then we commanded the pain to leave.
And it was done.
And as if to say, your order's ready, she said, you're healed. She said, wiggle your toes. That didn't hurt. Just stand up. Okay, and I did. And there was no pain. And again, I was crying.
She started taking some steps. Next thing we knew, she's walking around the whole room. She wanted to FaceTime her husband to let him know what God had done.
And it was a picture of her face, and she was just crying, like her eyes, she was bawling her eyes out. And I had no idea. I thought maybe something was wrong, you know, something had happened. And then she turned the phone down at her feet, and it took me a second to register. It clicked, and she put it back to her face, and I just started crying.
And I sobbed my way through telling him I have no pain as I'm walking around, showing him I can stand on my foot. I can balance on just one foot. I don't need a boot. It was amazing.
Prayed over me, anointed me with oil, and I can walk.
My friend had already gone to bed, and she came downstairs in her pajamas and told me, Jesus told me that he healed you and that it's permanent. It's not a temporary healing, and you can rest on that.
Anytime I see someone healed, I'm probably more excited than they are, and because it brings God glory. And it just encourages people. It encourages people to have faith to pray. And it gives people courage to know that God does still heal.
It was almost like surreal. It was almost like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, God, you're real again. It's like a little glimpse of him. You know, you catch, oh, you're a healer. You're love. You're here. Your presence is here.
There was nothing quite like being touched by the hand of God. It has exploded my faith, exploded my love for him.
You know, that's not just a one and done. Like, that's who God is, and he's going to keep moving and working.
I prayed multiple times a day for healing. My family prayed. I think everyone that I knew prayed for my healing.
And, you know, I truly believe that God hears those prayers, and and he answered ours.
When it's in his timing, it's perfect. Don't lose hope.